very urban, very black, proud, strong, self-reflective, gritty, a little gutter. It's very soulful, sexy, sly, witty, and fun. Think of it like an urban sex kitten.
Put your hands in the air.
First, tell me, and I'm gonna be me. Put the cockiness aside and mention feeling me. And I feel your gaze when you're looking my way. Your man wanna leave, but you look, listen. Bitch, I'm in my prime body banging. Ain't the type to beg a rope, but I leave a nigga hanging. Cause you swinging, think I'm staying. I ain't even contemplating. A bitch is in the gym, and I think it's time to weigh in.
My name is Franklin Scott. I am 26 years old, 6 feet 2 inches, and I will be reading for the role of Mason.
We really on this rooftop.
I know.
Record. Is this recording? Is this thing recording?
Okay, that what TS said?
That's what she said. So how you feeling?
I feel good. I'm excited. I'm honored.
Tell me your name,
Yes.
your stage name, and tell me, how do you describe your artistry?
Okay. Well, my name is Eric Devontae Russell. My stage name is Eric Devontae. I like to always draw attention back to me. I feel like Eric Devontae is like the artsy side of the name, and Russell's like the grounded, stability, like foundational, the bow on it all. It's very urban, very black. It's very soulful, very sexy, sly, witty, and fun. I always want to give people something to be excited about, something to relate to, move to. If I'm interviewing, I want to be your friend from home that you're watching. You're just like, I feel connected to him. I feel like he's talking to me, engaged with me, et cetera, et cetera. When it is music, my music, or just like acknowledgement of music as a whole, I always want to tap into people's nostalgic sides. Just give them something to move to. I feel like the world is very heavy, and I like to add the fun, the light, the playfulness.
34 in the waist, leaving one in the taste. You see, there's enough to go around, but yet you catching the case.
When you are rapping,
Mm-hmm.
how do you describe that flow? It's very much unapologetic,
Mm-hmm.
bold. What are the words you'll give?
Proud, strong, self-reflective, gritty, a little gutter. It's very New York. It's very where I come from. It's a little Lil Kim, a little Foxy Brown. Think of it like an urban sex kitten.
I thought you was from like Illinois.
You know
Illinois. I thought you were a boy who came to the big city, you know, and like now he can express himself. I always thought you were country originally.
No, it's crazy though. Maybe you were picking up on my family bloodline because my family is split between North Carolina and New York.
You do so many interviews. You stand on red carpets. You
Mhm.
talk with people consistently.
You get Hollywood, I'm just still Brandy, man. So
When you see yourself on the other end, what are those questions that you wish people would ask you?
It's so weird to be on the other side of it.
No, right?
You
Like
know.
now?
Yeah. No, this is nice because this is intimate. I think like in that space, something about red carpets are very like lights, camera, action.
Yes.
This is very like pared down and like intimate, and it makes me feel easy.
Okay. I like it.
However, in regards to your question, what do I wish people would ask me as an interviewer and a host? The questions that I ask are framed in the sense of what is something that they probably don't get asked often? What is something that they're interested in? How do their interests align with me? What am I now interested in regards to them? Because then it personalizes the question. It's unique in the sense that not everyone's going to do that research and not everyone shares the same interest as me. Researching that person, trying to find some interests or talking points and then see how they align with you and then figure out what you're interested in.
Okay.
You know, let that intrigue guide your question.
Have you ever had like a moment where there was someone that you like, I don't know what to say? I have no idea how this is gonna go. You had an impression, but then it was like the best thing ever.
So many interviews. I'm having to think because I've been doing this for like 8 years.
Oh yeah.
So I want to say it's either Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, Raven-Symoné.
Okay. I want to hear about both of them.
So shout outs to Better Brothers Los Angeles. They host their yearly event, the Truth Awards, which is like a year celebrating the achievements of the Black queer community. That was actually the first red carpet I've ever done, like with them. So like they've been my foundation in terms of being on red carpets, and from there I just built. But shout outs to them. Dwayne Wade, Zaya Wade, and Gabrielle Union. I think Zaya was being honored, or maybe they were being honored as a family. I do not remember. And, you know, with Dwayne, I didn't really know what to expect because I'm not a sports head. And I'm like, I can talk to anybody about anything, but I didn't have any expectation because I didn't know him very well. Gabrielle Union, I was more so nervous about because Gabrielle Union always seems very, like, very poised, but, like, don't play with her.
Right.
So I was just
Okay.
like, and this was Zaya Wade, their daughter's first red carpet ever. So I was the second person to ever interview her, which is fun and cool. But also I understood that they were like protective parents. Like they want to make sure nobody's trying to catch a moment off their daughter or anything like that, which is not my MO, but you never really know because you don't know me. So I was just, making sure that my questions were communicated properly and that Zaya Wade felt warm and welcomed in that space. And it was great. Like I interviewed them the first time on that carpet, and then Vincent Scott had asked me to go backstage and do a follow-up interview. So that was super cool too, because I was like, oh wow, I'm getting 2 interviews in one night. And it was kind of like the second time it was more like, oh yeah, we remember you. So that was a phenomenal experience. And then Raven-Symoné is a funny experience that taught me that God's timing is always correct. Because my agent, shout out to Joy Paris, I'm doing a lot of plugs, but there have been a lot of people that put me in great spaces. So she got me an interview with Raven-Symoné. It was virtual, but I only had 5 minutes to do it. And where I was living, the internet connection was sometimey. And of course, this time was that sometime. So I'm doing the interview with her, and it is glitching so bad. Like, not even a consistent word of audio is translating, and I only have 5 minutes to do it. So bad that I can hear Raven and her co-star laughing about how bad the connection is. And I'm like, no. My first time interviewing Raven-Symoné, who is iconic to me.
Right.
And this is the experience, and I only had 5 minutes, and I couldn't rectify the situation. And me in that moment, there was no guarantee I was going to get another chance at it. Like, it was a press junket. So, like, once your time is up, your time is up. So I left that feeling so defeated. Then the truth was, once again, shout out to Better Brothers LA, Raven-Symoné was an honoree. Don't remember what she was honored for, but she was an honoree. And I got to interview her in person on the carpet. And it was so fun and funny because at the end of it, I told her, well, in the beginning and the end, I told her, I'm like, I interviewed you before, right? I'm like, I interviewed you when you were doing Raven's Home for Disney, and my internet connection was so bad that I heard you and your co-star laughing about it. And in the interview, she has this moment where she's just like, thank you for your interview. You're so sweet, blah, 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 blah. She's like, fix your Wi-Fi. And I was like, I told her, I'm like, buy me some Wi-Fi. And she laughed, and it was just like, awesome.
I want to say congratulations. You are an icon, and thank you for being one of the stars of my life. Yes. Congratulations and have an amazing...
That moment was so amazing, and I didn't think I was going to get it. But God was like, yeah, you have to know it doesn't always look the way you wanted to the first time, but my timing is always correct, and you will get.
Half the battle is just showing up and being present, taking those opportunities.
Amen.
Do you ever feel like, okay, I wasn't the best at certain, or I'm not even sure if I should be here, but you showed up anyway?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, red carpets were always something that I took as a direct test from God. It was who I had trained myself to be or understood myself to be versus who he created me to be. And with red carpets and stuff, I don't like a lot of attention. I'm very like social and I'm a good time, but like I don't need to be the center of attention. Like that's not my MO. I can very much exist in a room and celebrate whoever is the focal point. I don't care. So with red carpets, that's a new skill when I first started doing it, but red carpets, you don't get to practice them in comfort or in private. Like you can cut your camera on in your room and put a light on in front of you, but it's not the same. Like in order to practice something like that, you need the people there. You need the extras, the lights, the quickness. That's how you get accustomed to the actual circumstance.
Yes.
So with that, there were a lot of times I was showing up to carpets and I was so jittery and I just was so stiff on camera and I just could not find my groove because the camera used to be so intimidating. And sometimes it still is, but not really. So my earliest interviews, those were the ones where I look back and I'm like, oh, you were so green. Like, but I'm so glad I didn't stop.
Right?
That is a thing for me. When I find myself to be too new in an area, I get intimidated at the idea of looking foolish. And then I stop. But something about red carpets, like I was just, as much as I wanted to stop, it felt like I was like, nope, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I just kept going. And so many amazing opportunities have come. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful that I didn't stop.
Is that the same type of energy, that same type of growth that you bring when you rap?
Rap is different in the sense that you wouldn't know I rap unless I told you, or you just follow me and you caught it when I was posting. Because it's been happening in eras, and now I'm working on being more consistent because I've been doing rapping is probably the most consistent thing I've done in my life, artistically.
When did you start?
I've always played with rapping, writing, of course, but like rapping from I want to say middle school.
You was rapping in middle school.
Yeah, but to myself, because I've always had this heavy love for music, and I love instrumentals, and beat selection is a big thing for me. So I would always like write stuff down, but I was like, nobody's gonna take this seriously, and like I wasn't taking it seriously. So it was always just my behind the scenes thing that just brought me peace and joy, and it was like a confidence booster. Like, and those times I wasn't super confident in who I was, but when I was writing, I could act like I was. So that was a love that always stuck with me. And yeah, from middle school here.
Project. So we've been in community for years now, and we've known each other for years now. But our first project was last year when we did the Black Queer Cypher. What made you want to even do it?
Look, listen.
There's so much Black queer underground rap talent in Los Angeles, and a lot of them are my friends. And I enjoy collaboration. I find that it is the biggest motivator outside of my own goals. And I just feel like a lot of times we need to amplify our voices and share platforms because we don't have all the reach that we may want. So with Ty, with Zavi, Rich, Herby, Jasper, Antwon as the DJ, you as the videographer, like that's so much Black queer talent that deserves to be showcased. And I was just like, let's do it. I always watch like the BET Hip Hop Awards for the Cyphers and stuff like that. And I've always personally wanted that for myself, like a BET Hip Hop Cypher. But I was like, until I get there, I could come up with a little 1-2. It was so good. It was so good. It was such a great experience. I felt like some of us just, by me reaching out to those people to be a part of this, I felt like they felt seen in a way. Because I know they work hard and I know that they have the goods, but I think a lot of times we don't really do anything with it. We don't collaborate with each other. We try and, get with the big wigs of it, like me trying to collaborate with like a Jay-Z or something. I'm not trying to collaborate, but you get it.
Totally get it.
We got to network around, and I feel like this lane is emerging of Black queer artists, and I want to do my part to like open the space.
I want to do like this video. I want to do it at my place.
Yeah.
And you come in, you bring your equipment, and you're coming in and you're shooting me. Then it's just work for you. What do you get in return? Like, what is the benefit? It's work. So it's like, and if it wasn't you, it'll be like a production company that I will have to hire, or it'll have to be someone that has like the technical skills and not just the creative part, but like the actual technical skills where I'll be able to show up the way that I'm envisioning it. So it's like, how do we have like those conversations where it's work versus talent? And I'm not quite sure how to have it or when to have it or where it's supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe you as a creative and also someone who like hosts and on the other side of the conversation, how do we have like those tough conversations about what is work and what is like maybe creatively? Like, how do we have those type of conversations?
I think it depends on like what your why is for the conversation itself, and then your why for why you're doing it. Okay. I think work is work when it is solely with the expectation of payment. I think creative is always work because you have to do it in order for it to be out there. And there's no guarantees that you're getting paid for it, but like it's work combined with passion. Work itself, it doesn't have to have passion. Sometimes it's out of obligation. So I think figuring out your why in terms of just why you're doing a project, why you're doing videography, whatever the case may be, like what's the why there? And then in terms of the why in the conversation, it's like, am I needing to implement boundaries? I think a lot of times as up and coming creators, we don't feel comfortable asking for certain things or requiring certain things because, we're all trying to figure things out, expand our portfolio, et cetera, et cetera. But I find in my own experience, and I'm not the greatest with implementing boundaries. Sometimes I feel like a burden for expressing how I feel with certain things. I'm learning to not think that way, but that has been. And yeah, like I have to implement certain boundaries because if not, then I start to feel a sense of resentment. And I don't really have expectations in terms of how the boundaries are met. It's one of those things where it's like, I need to acknowledge my feelings and put this out there and allow you to respond properly. And then if you oblige, great, then woo, wasn't so scary. And if you don't, then it probably isn't aligned, and that's okay too. Then I have clarity. So I think just being intentional about certain things, like if you ever need to have a conversation about work versus creative, it's like, does the conversation need to be had with somebody else, or do I need to have a conversation with myself first? Is this a conversation where I need to implement boundaries, or is this like a thing where I need to figure out what's bothering me so I know what boundaries are in my world before I go to anybody else? It's very layered, and that's what I'm learning right now.
I love the maturity in which you're able to explore that.
Look, baby, it's a journey. It's a journey.
It's the journey.
It is such a journey, but I've had great people around me that have just encouraged me to like speak up for myself more, and it's not a crime to advocate for yourself, because if you don't, nobody else knows what's going on in your head.
What's the next collaboration that you have planned?
What's the next collaboration? Well, I will be performing with Zavi at the Juneteenth celebration hosted by In the Meantime. So that's exciting. That's
Nice.
another chance to be a featured rap artist in a public space, because that's not something I've done too much. So that is the next collaboration coming. We also have, I don't know if this is my business to tell. He probably wants me to promote it. So we're doing like the Black Queer Cypher Part 2. We're still developing things, but that's in the works. So for those of y'all that know, then you know. And if you missed it last time, then this is the perfect opportunity to catch up. So that I'm a part of a play called Church Secrets by Donald B. Welch. Debuting is one night only, and it's July 5th. Tickets are available. They will be on my social media at The World According to Eric. And the play itself is basically about scandal going on behind the scenes in church. You know, just Black, affluent people for the most part in there to connect with the Lord. But of course, you bring a bunch of people together, there's bound to be mess and scandal. And my character's name is Manny, and he is very skilled at showcasing the mess and scandal. He's the mess of it. So that is my character. He's very self-assured. He knows who he is. He won't let anybody try and change him or make him feel less than because of it. And I enjoy the character because I know that character well. And yeah, so Church Secrets is really cool, really well written, really scandalous. I highly recommend anyone interested come out July 5th because it's going to be good. I have a film coming out on June 6th on Watch Vim called Franklin, where I'm acting as a queer porn star struggling to find his place in the world, kicked out of home by his mom, really just wants to be an actor, but he's a porn star, so those two don't necessarily align, so he thinks. And Franklin was created by Dante Morrison, who is my mentor, actually.
You told me that.
Yeah, huge in the Black queer health field. He's a host. He is I don't think he's a minister, but I think he's like a pastor. I don't know. I'm not a church kid, so I don't know the terms, but like he's a pastor or a minister or something like that. And an actor, a director, singer. He does a lot. So he wrote Franklin, and he reached out to me. He's like, I feel like I want you to read for this character. And I find that in not a lot, previously in the past, I have been sought out to be like the messy role. And I get it because I'm very sassy. I'm witty and
You're
I'm
good at it. I've seen
you.
you in the messy role, and you were on point.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, but as a creative, I'm at the place now where I just want to challenge myself and really see what I have to offer. He told me the premise of it. I read the script and I was like, oh, this is like a complete departure. Like, this man's life is tumultuous and hard, and he's really just trying to figure out where he stands in the world. And I was like, I want to see if I can do that. So, read for it. He was really happy with it. Rehearsed the hell out of it because I'm the lead. And that was my first time ever leading a film, and that was a challenge. We shot it in a weekend. A weekend. That weekend was probably one of the hardest creative weekends of my life, because it just takes so much, and you're not really yourself for the most part. You're like investing into this character and connecting with their story. So it turned out amazing. I'm super proud of myself. I'm super proud of everyone involved. I'm super honored to have been considered, and that will be out June 6th on watchbim.com. That's www.watchbim.com. It's a lot to know.
Awesome. So for people coming,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's from the Big Apple or
Yes.
from small town USA, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them as they're coming here about LA and about the industry?
Get familiar with yourself as best as you can. I don't want to say know who you are because I didn't come here knowing who I was. I had an idea. but it really got fleshed out here. But have an idea of who you are, so that way you're not just swayed by everything. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself out there. I think the the best thing about LA creatively is that opportunities always lend themselves to you. But you have to be willing to put yourself in space to connect with people and make it known what you're into, you know, because there are so many people that are willing to help you get where you're trying to go, and also come out here with what you have and what you know and start. Like, there are so many people I've met on red carpets that interview by way of phone and stuff like that. And it can be intimidating because you're next to these large camera crews, you're next to E! News and all of that stuff. And you're probably like, how am I here? Like, I don't have the means. Like, but you're in the same room as them. You're still getting your footage. You're still getting to talk to these people. So don't be discouraged about where you're starting from. Be proud that you are starting and just soak in as much as you can.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
That was a good interview. My white pants.